Let's talk about pattern because there's something here that's starting to get intriguing to me, all right? Now, if we look at this, right, we basically have this pattern formation here with a little blip and a little blip. And if we go to the S&P 500, the spiders, we have this same sort of pattern here. Now, I'm going to get rid of these lines so we can clear this up just a little bit. But basically, what I'm concerned with on the S&P is a potential head and shoulders formation. All right, now head and shoulders are bearish formations. I want to show you real quick here what I mean by that. So bearish, we're going to do a crash course in education now. So a head and shoulders is basically a pattern. Bear with me as I get my drawing tool up here. Okay, it's a pattern like this with a head and a shoulder, right? And the idea is you can look at your neckline here, and when price breaks your neckline, which is right there, and by the way, armpit to armpit, then this is a drop like that. And the beauty of it is, and this is something that we've created here and that we've gone over, is that you can calculate your target. You take the highest point of the head, drop a plumb line down, and that distance will be a measured move down here. Okay, so essentially it's a bearish pattern, but there's some rules that go with these. People are horrible. When you see on social media, our people are like, oh, that's a head and shoulders pattern. A lot of times it's not. I'm going to give you the keys here. And now this is, by the way, this is jumping into stuff that I teach in the Winning Trader series, so I'm going to kind of gloss over it a little bit. But needless to say, the Winning Trader series, the 3 courses are 20 plus hours, and I get so freaking in depth that it'll blow your mind and change you as an investor and trader forever. But one of the things is this pattern has to be at the highs of a recent chart. Otherwise, if it's not recent history, and on a daily chart, you're looking back at least 6 months, maybe a year, right? So I would say about 6 months at minimum. So is it at the high of the chart? Check. Okay. Now, the next thing is are both shoulders lower than the high of the head? Yes, yes. And there's your head, higher than both. Check. Okay. The next thing is the neckline, and this is really, really important. The neckline has to be on a head and shoulders flat or upsloping. It can't be downsloping. Invalid. That's an invalid head and shoulders if you get a downsloping trend line. Okay, so is this the one I just drew? Is it an upsloping? Yes, it is. So that's valid as well. So we would say check. All right, so that is all. Now remember, just because you have the shoulder over here, it only becomes relevant if you get and break this point right here. That's the only time it becomes relevant. All right, so let's quickly go back and see what we have over here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and you'll see what I'm getting at here. So what we have here is, here's a potential head and shoulders. All right. Now, again, it's preliminary. Now, preliminary means that you're still in the process of forming the right shoulder. So the question is this at the highest point on the chart in recent history? Yup, it is. All right, check. Is the shoulder here and the shoulder here lower than the head? Check. All right. Now, has it broken the neckline? And is the neckline, well, we can draw the neckline in. Is the neckline flat to upsloping? Yes, it is, right? Slightly upsloping or flat. So check. That's another check. All right, so now it's checking off the boxes for is it a valid head and shoulder pattern? All right, now the question is, has it broken the neckline, which would be the trigger? And the answer is it hasn't yet. The neckline is down here. Price has to violate that. Now, for all we know, we could go like this, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, this is where it would trigger, and if it triggers, right, so let's do a little calculation here, and I love TradingView for these abilities here, just to quickly whip it out. So, in fact, we got to draw the neckline first on it, so bear with me here. All right, so we're going to go back here, and we're going to flip back to this chart here real quick, and we're going to just draw the neckline in, so I get it as accurate as possible. There's your neckline, right? And now what we want to do is we want to go down to our measure tool, take the highest point of the head and shoulders, drop it down. So now it's a $26.20 move on the SPY. So what we do is we do that same sort of thing over here, and let's just say we don't know where it breaks now. Now, please understand, I'm guesstimating where it's going to break. We don't know, but you have to do the measurement once it breaks. But if we drop this down, you're looking at a drop of right there. So again, folks, it's hard to see. I know it's hard to see here, but essentially, if we zoom out, there you go. So basically, if this plays out, I hope you guys can see this, but if this plays out, okay, you have essentially a target of right down here, okay, at 40, right here, 407 as a target price on the Head and Shoulders. So that's pretty crazy, guys. That's actually pretty amazing.